Welcome back, everyone, to Get Your Geek On's Pixar retrospective review. I'm Robert. That's Aaron. Today we are here to talk about
Coco. And not Team Coco from Conan O'Brien.
No. We are here to talk about the animated movie Coco. Which is Pixar's first foray into, I guess you would say, Latinx main characters.
Yeah, that's true.
They're Mexican. And we get, a story revolving around family and music and Dia de las Muertas. And, I guess hit me with your initial thoughts, Aaron.
So,
do you have a soul?
No, I don't. I mean,
okay.
that's
cool,
long gone.
Cool,
we're talking about that. We're doing these because we're leading into Soul. I'm hoping to get a Soul after the movie Soul.
You're going to need one.
So,
the devil wants his money back, by the way. He's like, this is BS. What you gave me. I gave you this whole deal, and this soul that you gave me sucks.
No refunds. I put no refunds in there. So, I've seen this a handful of times.
Okay.
Now, watching The Good Dinosaur right before this, and now watching this one, the water effects looked about the same. That photorealistic part.
It's cool.
This movie is beautiful.
It absolutely is.
The way they show off the Land of the Dead, it is just so vibrant, so colorful. The way they show our spirit guides and how colorful they are, everything's beautiful. The story I think is really good. I think it's a very good story about family, and I like it. But there's always just something that feels off to me. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's being raised in the South, being raised with Day of the Dead. I don't know. There's something feels off a little bit for me. Okay. But I do like how they hit the culture pretty much spot on. You know, your altars, everything is spot
I mean,
on.
Abuela, running around with her sandal and almost like it's like a holster and like a gun, and she's doing all like threatening the mariachi with
the
it,
mariachi guy,
and throwing it after the dog and everything. Like
I like how she's choose him out. Now get my sandal.
Yeah, go get my shoe.
Go get my shoe. Yeah, and that's just such a Mexican culture thing right there. You know,
the chancla.
You know, what were you scared of, a gun or a chancla? Chancla, because she could. There's a video out there where the mom takes the chancla off, and I don't know how she does it. She flings it, and it's like you see it in the sky, and then you see the person get hit by it. Still, it's like, how? That's it. Okay.
I mean, so they've been training for a long time.
All right. So it's like, and I love how it's about the son Miguel. It's about him. It follows him, but I do like how we still have that strong female presence. Like these females, any female that came in there, you don't mess with them.
No.
It was like even the main villain, or the main guy though. I forgot his name.
Are you talking about Ernesto de la Cruz?
Yeah, de la Cruz.
I mean, he's a villain. You call him a
villain.
He's a
villain. He is. She comes up and she starts beating him with the shoe, and it's like, like they fear all the women, which I love it.
Which again it feels culturally accurate. We're not trying to be racist or anything, but that is
the culture.
That is a very strong culture. Is that the females of the Mexican household, they run the house, and he kind of calls that as he's giving the rundown of who he is and what his family is, and it's kind of like this musician abandoned us and. So she made a decision. She started making shoes, and she showed her daughter and her son-in-law, and just
their
like
son.
They made this work, and she built everything from the ground up. And now my abuela runs the house, and they even have that great moment where she's like more mijo, and he's like, no, I'm good, and she's like, I asked you if you wanted more tamales. Right? He's like, yes.
That's what I thought.
And she puts like 6 on there.
Yeah, it's like
So it's very good, and clearly, clearly she runs the house. Her kids, who are his parents.
Yeah.
And also, he's got his aunt and uncle. They're kind of they're clearly under her dominion. Whatever she says goes. That's what they follow. There's a lot in this. I mean, this is a movie about your connection to your family, how important your family is in guiding you, in helping you, in supporting you. I mean, that's kind of where, Miguel has the problems is he's going, you don't support me. You're not supporting me. And it's, he has to understand that they want what's best for him, and they have to understand this is his dream. And, so you got to come at it from both sides. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Brave in that sense. It's like, that generational gap where you've got to come together to, achieve what you're looking to achieve. And I will say that I've seen this movie a few times. it gets me every time. I absolutely cry in this movie, and I'm not ashamed to say that. It absolutely makes me cry every single time.
Right.
This movie, it's really powerful for me because number one, I have a huge extended family that I feel very connected to. My grandfather was a very important figure in my life.
Right.
And so it's, that connection to family and family members who are gone is very strong for me. And it's something that, I thought this did a really great job of kind of exploring that. My family's also heavily musical. Like we love music. I mean, that was my grandfather. My mom talks about like growing up, she would wake up in the morning and hear him singing as he was getting ready for work, as he was, like shaving and, that kind of stuff. Like, so, music is a strong part. My grandma, taught piano to a lot of her children.
Oh,
like,
nice.
so it's a very strong feeling. And so having those be the major themes of this movie where you have family and music, it's like, okay, this movie feels like it was made for me.
Yeah.
I think it hits a lot of its beats really spectacularly. There are definitely a few moments where you're kind of like, okay, get to the next thing.
Right.
Where it does drag just a little bit. There are, the stuff with Ernesto de la Cruz, again, kind of being villainous. It's understandable, and it's part of why, he thinks he has this connection with him, but it's really Hector, that he's connected to, and the way that they get to that I like, and that discovery of, he just wants to see Coco. And by the way, that moment, that wasn't the full-on Waterworks moment, but where he's talking about, she's the last one who remembers me, and I thought I would be able to hug her, one last time even, but as soon as she dies, and Miguel kind of finishes the thought, like, you'll disappear. Yeah. And it's like, so they won't get that last reunion because she's the last one that remembers him. And like that moment, like it got me a little bit. I was like, whew, like, all right, that's going to hit me. And so there's definitely a lot. The part that, of course, at the end when he sings "Remember Me" to Mama Coco, and she starts singing along, and then she starts telling the story, I'm crying that whole time. Like that's 3 minutes where I'm just like tears down the face, like, and I'm just like I remember seeing this in the theater with a friend of mine, and I'm just like there's kids in the audience, like, don't hold it together, man. It's like, no, like, you just don't worry about it. You just cry. I mean, that's that Pixar, I think, does a really great job with that in a lot of their movies. And
this one especially.
This one, the emotional payoff at the end is incredibly cathartic.
Yes. And I agree. That's like the scene that always gets me at the end, where he's singing and then she remembers and she kind of sings with him. That does kind of get me too. And I agree. It's a very family oriented movie. And like you said, like Brave, it's about like that middle ground of like, hey, this is what happened.
Yep.
And then I do like that we get the full story. And this guy like talks about it. There's two sides of every story. Everyone's like, oh, he just ran off and, never came back. Right. No, he was poisoned, killed, murdered, whatever you want to say, by his best friend while he was trying to come back home and say sorry to his family. Yep. So I love that that's where, it comes around that like, hey, yes, this is what you've been raised with. This is what you've been told. But by the way, there's another side of it. Here's Hector's side. And that
flashback to him singing to his daughter is really sweet. It is. And then, of course, at the end when Miguel sings to her and she kind of pulls out her drawer and she's got, like all of his letters and the torn picture. And it's like even though her mom was like, cut him out of our life and we're going to move on. And we're not, this.
She never did.
I mean, that was her papa. That's this little girl, and she never. And so clearly, she raised her daughter and she raised her family, and they kind of she didn't let anyone see that she still had that connection to her dad, but she did. Yeah. And it was clearly still very strong, and I did like that kind of final moment where, obviously, in the spirit world, they find out that Ernesto de la Cruz is a fraud, but using the letters that Mama Coco has, they're also able to do that in the real world and basically be like, he's a total fraud. Yeah. And
his
so that was,
shrine even had a fraud or something. It doesn't say, or takedown or something.
Yeah, it was. And so I thought that was cool. And definitely like a kind of a triumphant moment where you're like, yeah,
And I like that it, like you said, it was a little opposite. They say what you do in life carries on into death, but it kind of reversed where he didn't, in death because he was going to kill Miguel. He literally tried to kill him.
Yeah.
It transitioned to life though. And, like you said, Mama Coco brings out the diary and then that's the little house becomes the shrine now to the Hector and everybody else.
And he talks, Ernesto de la Cruz has that moment where he's kind of like confronting Miguel where he's like, my reputation. And it's like, this is what he has. The song is "Remember Me." The whole theme of this movie is if you forget people, they disappear. So this is very clearly like it's about how you're remembered.
Yeah.
And so to have your legacy, for Hector, it was a man who abandoned his family, and for Ernesto, it was the musician that gave us all these great songs.
Yeah.
And to kind of have the family gets the redemption of Hector wanted to come back to the family, and wanted to be part of the family, and the rest of the world still gets to celebrate him as a beautiful musician. Yeah, and so it's kind of it's the best of both worlds. You get to have your cake and eat it too, which by the way is a really weird saying because why would you have cake if you're not going to eat it? But that's a totally different story. Anyways, I thought this is a really well told story. It makes me emotional every time.
Yeah.
I think it's not a perfect movie, but it's pretty close.
It's really
and the
good.
music's great.
The music is really good. I do like, the whole movie. Don't get me wrong. Again, something always falls off for me, and maybe I don't have the connection like you do with the music side and all of that. I don't know. Maybe it's from being raised in the South and seeing how it was. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I look at life.
Sure.
I do like it though. I like that we get our altars. We get, they really do explain to anyone who doesn't know what Day of the Dead is.
Yeah.
Watch this movie if you want to learn it. It covers what we do as a culture. They do, how we handle it, what it's about, what's supposed to happen. I think it covers that perfectly, and that's something I like, it's kind of how I explained to my daughter actually when she first saw it. I was like, this is some of your culture. It's the Day of the Dead. This is what we're supposed to do, what we do. And she always asks questions because I don't follow it 100% myself. So she's like, why don't you do that? I was like, well, I have my own belief system. But I think that this is a movie that everyone should watch just to learn about other cultures.
Yeah.
I don't think now you don't have to practice it, but just know that this is something that another culture does. So if you go to somebody's home and see it, to pay respect to it. Like, absolutely. That's why you do it. It's not that you're, a witch or something else. It's just, it's a respectful thing.
Celebrate your family and the connection to your ancestors, remembering where you came from.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this movie is that, like you said, it's about remembering. It's, there are parts that hit me because of the fact that, my dad's passed away since I was 13.
Sure.
I lost a lot of my grandparents when I was young. My grandpa on my mom's side died when I was 18. So it's like, my family's dwindled down over the years already. Mm-hmm. So it hits me on that side. It's like, man, I wish I had that big family like y'all do, but I don't. Because it's just like, mine is an older generation family. So that's what kind of happens. Sure. And sometimes that does happen in the Mexican culture. Like you have like 100 kids and all this. And it's just like, by the time you get to a certain part of it, it's like, this, grandpa's really 80 years old and you're born at 2. So you're not going to last long kind of thing. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. I really like that we got the spirit guides because that's something I believe in a lot. So the fact that we got to see it, and I kind of like that the spirit guides, and I didn't catch it until this one, kind of represent the personality of the person.
Yep.
How the mom,
the beast, the cat,
how she has that big, huge, like, it's not a liger, but it's I don't know what you call it,
but it's like ferocious,
huge,
and like,
and that's her personality.
All business, no games, like
exactly.
This. Yeah,
how it showed. When you first see her too, the whole family's scared of her. That's dead.
I love when she's just the devil box.
The devil box. She tries to beat it with her shoe again, with her shoe, and then she slides it back on. Hi, family, blah blah blah. Like all calm and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so this movie's got some good humor in it. Definitely. But, I one of the jokes that just made me laugh, and you were talking about, kind of explaining this to your daughter and stuff, is, when he's first kind of with all his family and he's like, I can't believe this is all real. I thought this was just made up, like vitamins. Yeah. And one of them is like, no, vitamins are real. He's like, I'm kind of thinking that maybe now.
That's so funny.
I thought that was a funny joke.
I love it. And so coming back to spirit animals, I like how his is the dog that's so out there and goofy, and that's Miguel. He's so playful. Which,
by the way, the dog being named Dante, which is like a very Dante's clear connection to hell. Yeah. Like, I think that's funny.
I loved it.
Like, it's just funny.
Yeah, I didn't catch that the first time either until now. I was like, Wait, Dante's Inferno.
Yep.
Oh, it was one of those I caught it like mid-watch on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how he's more goofy and more kind of out there than any other dog, and that's because Miguel is. Yep. But yeah, I like how
he's a misfit.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love how the spirit guides reacted, and I loved how, like I said, that big cat with the wings at the very end, it's just a tiny little normal sized cat when it comes across. It's like, oh, I was expecting like a tiger or something to come out, and it's just like meow, a little cat, and it's like, oh,
yep, just playing with the family. And yeah, I think this is it's a heartwarming movie. Certainly, if you have
beautiful ending,
if you have a strong connection to family, I think this is going to be something that really works for you.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can still enjoy it. I mean, it's still got good humor. It's still got, those cultural aspects. It's still got, good music.
Yeah.
And, a fun story. But yeah, I mean, I think that, that moment at the end where he's singing to his abuelita, if you don't cry at that a little bit, or you don't tear up a little bit, it doesn't make you a little bit emotional. It's the same thing with Up. It's like, how do you not get emotional about that connection that this kid he's having, not only with his great grandmother, as he's trying to connect with his great grandmother, but he's trying to keep the memory of his great great grandfather alive, who he just met, and he knows no one else in his family knows anything about this man. I mean, like, even earlier when he tried to talk about it, it was like, we don't talk about that man. They didn't even know who he was. And so he's just had this entire adventure with him. And it's like he wants his family to know who this man is. And he knows if he does succeed, they won't. And it's like, it's like the stakes are so high. The song is really beautiful. Of course, they've already established that was the song that he wrote for his daughter, that he sang to his daughter when she was in. So it's just like all of those things coming together. And yeah, it's just like, again, I was watching it last night and I'm just like, oh.
Kristen look at you like, what?
She will remember. No, she was asleep. What are you talking about? She has already crashed out.
She was out.
But yeah, so anyways, I guess let's just get into final thoughts and score. Where are you at?
So score, say a good 7, a solid 7 for me. Again, I don't know what it is that misses for me. There's just a little bit that misses. But again, the visual effects is beautiful. I love the pedal bridge. Everything. How it's all those pedals. I like, again, how they explain everything. I think it's a really solid movie. I just don't know what it is with me that misses. Maybe I have no soul. That could be it. It could be, I don't know. I think
we've already established that.
Yeah, we have.
In the Up review.
Oh, yeah. That one doesn't even hurt me at all.
I know.
Like, whatever.
I know.
But I also think there's nothing more to explore, too. Going into that part real quick. I don't want to see anything else. I think this was a solid ending. We got the family together. We got everybody singing and having that fun. The whole... The Day of the Dead a year later, unfortunately, Mama Coco has passed.
Yep.
So she gets her picture up there, but then she gets to be reunited with Hector, with her mom, and it's just like, that's beautiful. I don't want anything else to happen.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come in higher than you. I don't think that's gonna be a surprise. I'm gonna throw this at a 9.
Okay.
Solid 9. So this is not quite as high for me as Inside Out, but it's really close. And I think this movie is near perfect. It is very emotional.
Yeah.
It is something that again, I have a strong connection to, both with the music and with the family part. And I think that this movie, I agree. I don't want to return to the Rivera family. I don't want to return to their, but if they wanted to tell a different story, a different Day of the Dead story, with another family,
I could live with that.
I would be okay with that. Yeah. So when you talk about returning to the world, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I like the culture that they've established. I like the characters they've established. I don't want to see anything more. I mean, you could do like a short thing with Dante or something like, Dante being a spirit guide or something. Like, you could do a 5-minute short if you wanted to.
Yeah, something small,
like that.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't need a sequel to this or anything like that. I don't need a Coco 2. But I definitely I would be on board if they said they were making another movie about the Day of the Dead and the Land of the Dead. I'd be seeing it.
That'll be okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Anyways, again, those are our thoughts on Coco. We want to hear what you think, so we want to keep the conversation going down in the comments. Let us know, is this one of your favorites? Do you love it? Maybe you didn't really connect to it as much. Maybe you think it's one of Pixar's weakest movies. I don't know. Let us know. But remember to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to our channel. So once again, for Get Your Geek On, I'm Robert, that's Aaron, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.